exclusively on ESPN Plus. UFC 313, Saturday. Reigning light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira defends his title against number one contender Magomed Ankalaev, and an explosive lightweight bout between Justin Gaethje and Rafael Pazzi. UFC 313, Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Buy it on ESPNPlus.com/PPV.
At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Hello, Americans. Stand by for news.
Spanning the globe to bring you the latest in classic rock news and comment. It's the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update with your host, Jeremy Lunnan.
Hey, hello. It's time again for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. This makes 2 in 1 week. I'm doing better this week, Rich. I used to do one every day, but I've kind of slacked off. So, as you can see, I'm joined by my friend Rich Hanna. Now, Rich is the host of the Classic Metal Vault, which happens every Friday night, early in the morning on Saturday morning, and then later in the afternoon on Saturday. So 3 opportunities every week you can listen to Classic Metal Vault. And we're going to talk to Rich about that. But first, we got some other stuff I wanted to talk about. And so we're just gonna jump right in and put Rich right on the spot. Now, Rich, a couple weekends ago tell us what you did in Seattle, Rich. This is the story we want to hear. Okay.
Sure. Went to Seattle finally, and if you've been listening to the show, right on, you already know, but went to see Metallica for their no repeat weekend in Seattle. And boy, was it the pinnacle of Metallica shows. But I have to say, 2 shows within 3 days of Metallica, ouch, for anyone of our generation, the sore back, the sore feet, ouch, the voice.
It was awesome. And you got to know, Rich is a huge Metallica fan.
Yes.
So you've seen them multiple times.
Since Master of Puppets.
Wow.
Of Puppets. I've seen them. I've only missed Reload and Saint Anger. Those are the only 2 tours I've missed.
You've seen every other tour.
Every tour. They're my favorite. I can't help it. Slayer is a close second, but Metallica is just right there. Always have been.
Tell us about what was you saw them on Friday night and Sunday night, right? Is that the way it worked? Okay, yeah. So was it the same set list? Were they completely different shows? Tell us how the it's called No Repeat, right? Or no?
There you go.
No Repeat. I answered my own question, but tell us about how the shows were different from each other.
Well, where do I begin? Yes, the set lists are totally different. They played a full 2 hours and some change shows Friday and Sunday night. No repeats, not one repeat. They open the same. They start off with that Long Way to the Top. If you want to rock and roll with AC/DC, show a bunch of, slides and people cheering in the audience. And that opens the same. And then, of course, they go into Ecstasy of Gold. And they play that. That's been playing since they were Ride the Lightning. There, right on. There you go.
I knew that Ecstasy of Gold would come into the game.
Yes, sir. It. So they actually open up with that guy shooting the cannon, and that's how they open up the song now, right? Sorry, open up the show on the video, and then they go right into. So the first night, what did they open up with? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Second night, it was Whiplash. So. Okay. They times 10 the speed. They put the tempo up about 4 times. So I was trying to keep up with the lyrics on most of their fast song. And I'm like, blah, 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 it was just so good. But they came out energized. James looked good. The whole band looked good. They were it was probably because it was their last US show, that was it. But they knew they had Mexico City, I think, after that. And then they were done. So Mexico, I think, is at the end of the month, the 24th or something. But anywho, it was incredible just seeing Metallica those 2 nights. And then the big things were the openers. That's what was different. So the first night, Mammoth, MVH, Mammoth Van Halen, and then my band, Pantera. Oh, this is the shirt. This is the shirt from the tour. It's so good.
There's been some controversy around that Pantera thing. Of course, I love Zach. I saw Zach here a couple years ago with Black Label when they came through. Some of the diehard Pantera fans are like, this ain't really Pantera, but you really liked it from what I know. Let's hear
Jeremy. Jeremy. Yeah, there is controversy, and yes, they are stating fact. But how are you going to bring back 2 people from the dead? You know what I'm saying? So with that controversy being put down because of the deaths, yes, I'd agree. If they were still living, I'd be a little bit upset. I'd want Dimebag. I'd want Vinnie Paul back. But like I said on my show, if there were 2 people to take their place, they picked the right people. Let me tell you guys, Zach and Charlie put on the show of a lifetime. Like, people were saying they blew Metallica away. Now I'm going to keep it cool. I'm going to keep it level. I'm going to say it was a tie, right? It was a tie. But I can see that Pantera just came out and blew it up. They were so good live. And here's the deal. I heard there's a rumor, and I'm giving away some of this week's show, guys. So
that's all right.
My bad. All right. But I heard there's rumors that they've written a lot of new riffs and a lot of new stuff. Zach, Charlie, and Rex, and Phil. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be right here waiting for that album to drop. Oh my God, I'll flip out. But anyway, they played all their old classics, and that's what made Friday night. Now, Metallica always makes the night. They came out and just absolutely destroyed. They just came out and had a great show. Like I said, but everybody, I think, was kind of tired because everyone flew in Friday, walking up and down these steps. They closed. There's so many stories to the show, but me and my son must have walked these stairs about 12 times, and we were just smoked. We were tired. We're singing the songs, we're rocking out. But Sunday night, we had our day's rest. Everybody's cool. And then who opened up that night was a band called Ice Nine Kills. Now, Ice Nine Kills is kind of a cross between Alice Cooper and nu metal, right? So they put on like a horror show. Every song is about a horror movie. Like they played. Now, I wish my son was here for this. He knows all their songs. I'm not a huge fan of theirs, but I liked watching the Alice Cooper type demonstrations. They were chopping people's hands off, like Hostel was one of them. And then they had American Psycho, where they get that guy, they play the whole scene out where he has the blonde guy in the room and he takes the axe and puts the raincoat on. They play the whole scene out. They get him behind, they're chopping, and he pulls off his head and throws it. And oh my God, this is absolutely extreme gore rock. It was really cool. And then so Ice Nine Kills opened up. They put on a great show. And then some band that you guys probably know that I was never a huge fan of, I heard them on the radio, Five Finger Death Punch. They made a fan out of me. Wow. They came out, and unfortunately, he said he may be retiring after this tour and after this show. He said that actually on the interview before the show. Wow. So they made, but what a time to actually start being a fan, right? It's like, oh my gosh, these guys put on an incredible show. Everybody in the whole audience knew everything. So it was really, I was getting into it because it was just that Five Finger Death Punch just has that beat, the double bass, the beat, the heavy distortion, and the great growling singing. It's just really good, and clean singing too. He does it both. He does it really good. So they made a fan out of me, and then of course Metallica came out and just took it to the next level. I think they said it's the last show in the States, so we're turning the volume up to 12. Well, they did, and I've never had my ears hearing people, 10 to 15 people behind me, sounding like they were right in front of me. I was hearing gurgling, sounded like water going. And I'm like, I turned to my son, I said, Sean, I think I'm in trouble, man. I said, I already got tinnitus and all sorts of crazy old men diseases, that we get and ailments. Oh my gosh. But anywho, it was incredible. And Metallica was good, but we have to talk about the end.
That's the thing. Here's the part I want you to, now you have to know about Rich and me. Right? We are first and foremost fans, right? That's why we do this, right?
Yeah. So
just share with us what happened. I guess this would have been Monday morning.
Okay.
Monday
morning, bright and early.
Let's
hear this. Let's kick it. Okay. So me and my son are going through SeaTac Airport. That's Seattle's airport, right? We're going through the security checkpoint. And he gets through and he's waiting on me. I get through and hey, take off everything. I sit down at the bench. I'm putting my shoes back on, putting my back brace back on, my old man gear, putting it all on, my hat, make myself look younger with my backwards hat, right? Yeah. Anywho. So my son all of a sudden starts tapping me on the shoulder. He's excited. He says, Dad, Rob Trujillo's coming through the security checkpoint. Now, Rob Trujillo is the bass player from Metallica. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I look at him like he's off his rocker. I said, there is no way, son, that Rob Trujillo is right behind me coming through an airport security checkpoint with no security, no escorts, no nothing. He has his own jet, his own tarmac, I think, over here,
Yeah.
So he's like, oh. And then he's like, Dad, I really think this is him. As I turn around, I look at the security. Now I'm looking at the line. I said, no, that is not Rob Trujillo. I'm sorry. And he's like, no, Dad, you're looking in the wrong place. Look over here. We look over there, and I look at the table where he's putting all this stuff together, and I see a black-haired woman in a leather jacket with a big rose. Kind of stood out, right? Like somebody. I'm looking at that. I'm like, oh, that's a cool jacket. And then I look next to him. I'm like, wait a second. Guy turns around, and it is Rob Trujillo. It's him. He has his bass in his right hand, and he's beelining straight to his gate. I just said, Sean, come on. And he said, what are we going to say? I said, I don't know. I'm just going. Let's go. This is no way. There's no way this is happening right now. So I start walking up, and I have my arms up like this. Like, I'm sorry. I know, I'm approaching you. You shouldn't be, whatever. And I'm coming up, and he's looking at me. Now, he looks tired. He's been up all night. It looks like he may have partied. I don't know. We thought it was his mom saying, you better get our daughter home. Now we thought it was his daughter. Get our daughter home on that plane. You're going to be flying first class. I don't care. So he's looking at me like, dude, I know. He's looking side to side like fans are just kind of mob him. And I'm coming up, and I started being quiet. I said, okay, this guy's saying, dude, I'm tired. I just want to go to my plane. Just don't make a scene. So I can read people pretty good, So I said, okay, I come out. Finally, I kind of come up to him, and I said, hey, I just want to say that show last night was amazing, and thank you. And I've always told my people, I just want to shake their hand and say thank you, because they helped me through my life. All Metallica. That's why I like Metallica so much. Mm-hmm. Every bad point in my life, Metallica got me through, like other people out there probably have had the same experience with some other band. So he holds, now here's the awkward part. So he says, thanks. He just kind of looked, and I know he was kind of grateful for not going, this is Metallica here. Come on over. Let's get some pictures. And my son, who is about 6'4", big burly dude, beard, we call him the Idaho Mountain Man. The Idaho, you have a lot of mountain men that look the same out here. They're bigger, got the beards. He's standing behind me with his arms crossed, just looking at him, and not with a mean. He's a very nice kid. He has the, oh my God, and I walk up. Now he says, thanks. Rob Trujillo holds out his left hand to shake my hand. Now I already have my right hand extended like so. I freeze up. I'm in fan status too. So I'm looking at him. So I grab his hand like a monkey paw. And I start shaking it up and down. And I turn right face and beeline it out of there. Now my son, my poor son, he is absolutely starstruck. Right. He's standing there like this. And he watches me leave, looks back to him, and bows to him like a samurai warrior. And he takes a right face and follows me. Now, Rob Trujillo was like, what the heck was that all about? I mean, he was probably, yeah, that's cool. At least they didn't make a scene, but he probably said, man, those dudes got some issues. I don't care, man. I got to meet Rob Trujillo. People are paying $5,000 just to shake his hand and walk away. I didn't pay nothing and look like a fool. So maybe I made an impact on it. Like, you remember that idiot that was at the airport that shook my hand like an old man up and down?
That's
oh my God. Awesome. That was weird. And then his buddy back behind him bowing to me. Oh God. That was amazing though. Guys, it was so cool. I mean, that's 1 down, 3 to go. You know what I'm saying? That's
and what, stuff. What a great memory too. I mean, that's awesome. That's really why I had to have you come on and share. Now, last Friday night.
Yeah.
Both of us, we weren't sitting together. So let me paint the picture. One of us had good tickets. One of us had crappy tickets. So
who was it?
Yeah. So Rich had good tickets. He was up close. My wife and I were literally on the very last row P, section 222. I mean, row P is the last row. I mean, I literally could turn around and touch the corrugated aluminum wall, that's surrounding it. But we saw Def Leppard last Friday night.
Heck yeah.
And even in the rafters, it was a good show.
It was.
But so I wanted you, Rich, to just kind of share your thoughts on the Def Leppard show that we saw.
Yeah. It was really amazing that they did a one-off in between their stadium. So, because as you notice, all their shirts were the stadium tour, and you're like, are we on the stadium tour? And yes, they were. They're going to Colorado the next night or the next 2 days. So anyway,
are they like playing with Journey and Cheap Trick at the other? Oh,
they are. And we got DJ Matty. So they opened up with a DJ Matty. Now, I'm not taking away anything but from DJ Matty. He was pretty cool. I was getting into him. I was singing all the songs. They opened up with Sweet Emotion, started playing some Back in Black, had some You Shook Me All Night Long playing. Hey, we were getting into it. We were singing. And, but yeah, you guys got to know Jeremy was in the rafters. I've been there before, back on the Aussie Black Rain tour. I was on the last row in Seattle, but I knew his pain because the sound is good, but it has that little echoey.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I knew, but the funny part was, so another workmate of ours, we worked together, if you don't know. So another workmate of ours was right behind me, about 5 seats down. Now she and myself and my wife and her mom were laughing because Jeremy was like, I'm in 222 all the way in the back. So I stand up in the crowd. I'm looking around and I see 222 way out there. And I said, can you see me? And he says, wave your hands. I think Jeremy was messing with me, guys. I think he was messing with me. Just wave your hands and look like a fool in the middle.
And we saw you. He jumps up and waves. So we knew where you were.
He said, I think I saw you. So that was Jeremy. I think I saw you. So, I got to do it more. Duh. And people are just watching me being a fool. But anyway, I take a picture. I took a picture. So Jeremy takes a picture of me. I saw me. I was about yay big. And we took a picture. Now, what's her name? Her name was Kim. But Kim takes a picture of all of us selfie, and we send it to Jeremy and say, hey, how's the view, Jeremy? And then I put in there, and that's when our phones canceled out. Text wouldn't go. But I took a picture of your section. I said, are you back there somewhere? And it just, you can see the first 2 rows, and then it just became like that blur on the video game, right? It's like a video game stadium blur. Yeah, she's up there somewhere. We were just dying. We were laughing so hard. But they were really good. They played the entire Pyromania album. And I haven't heard them play Billy's Got a Gun and Die Hard the Hunter live ever. Yeah. And they played both those songs, and they sounded incredible. Yeah, his voice is pitchy in some parts. I noticed that, but all in all, they put on an outstanding show, and I sang every song just like, wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, you forget both Pyromania and especially Hysteria. Those are albums that at least half of the album charted, right? Exactly. So they had multiple. I mean, Pyromania got Photograph, Foolin', Rock of Ages. I'm probably leaving out. I mean, massive hits. And Hysteria, there's even more. The only songs, you forget how many, just their sheer catalog. Right, they didn't do a single. They did one song from High and Dry. They did Bringing on the Heartbreak. I was hoping they'd do Let It Go, maybe Saturday Night High and Dry, which I heard on last week's Classic Metal Vault, by the way.
You did. I throw it in there.
All right. So my wife, my wife she's not a music nerd. She listens to the radio. She grew up listening to Top 40. The only songs she didn't recognize were the ones Billy's Got a Gun and Die Hard the Hunter.
Right.
Because but she knew like every other. There might have been Coming Under Fire was one. Coming Under Fire. She didn't really know that.
Switch 365. They played Switch 365.
They played that, which you got to play that at the end of Bringing on the Heart. I mean, you have to. She loved it, and I agree with you on. So here's the thing about Def Leppard that people don't realize. About 5 years ago, Eddie Trunk does there's the classic rock cruise.
Trunk Nation.
Yeah. He does a big classic rock cruise. And I thought that would be awesome to go. It's super expensive.
Oh my God.
I haven't done it. But Def Leppard was the headliner one year. And Joe Elliott comes out at the very beginning and he says, I've been sick and I've lost my voice. I cannot sing. but he says they're going to do the show without me.
Wow.
And they played the full set with Phil and Vivian and Sav singing the songs.
Wow.
And I think here's what people do. This is not a diss against Joe Elliott. He's not even the best singer in the band.
You're right. You are right.
He's a great front man. Here's what he does, which part of me, it kind of annoys me, but part of me, it's like, what's worse, right? You can see clearly some guys have lost their voice. You know, there are some singers that they don't have it anymore. They can't sing anymore.
You're right.
And they struggle. Now, what Joe does is he goes into this falsetto thing, which he's hitting the notes, but it's kind of falsetto. So I'm like, I'm not sure. But the good news is he didn't do it a whole lot, but he's doing it kind of like that. And yeah, a little pitchy, but overall, I think he's still a really good frontman.
And he knew when to let the crowd have it. That's the cool part. When he knew he was going to get pitchy, he'd be like, you know, when we started singing Rocket, remember Rocket? They played Rocket. And everybody, the whole Rocket. Yeah, he just handed it to the, you know, see light. And that was the singer. That was the backups. And they sing all those backups. So you can hear their voices. They can get high, they get low. And all of the backups sounded exactly like the album.
Oh,
like exactly.
Their live sound is really good. And it always has been. It always has been. Tucker is chiming in. He says, the Astoria album was phenomenal. A lot of history with Steve Clark and Rick Allen losing an arm. Of course, Rick Allen lost his arm right after, I think it was New Year's Eve of 84 or 85. Yep.
What a bummer, too. That was a crushing blow because Pyromania was out. It was rocking. Everyone was Def Leppard bound. And then waiting for the next album, and boom, this happens. And Tucker,
he thought, in fact, for a while, he thought he was going to lose both arms. Oh, and as it turns out, he lost an arm. And then think about this. I mean, now it seems like it was just back to back, obviously some years transcribed, but when Hysteria came out in 87, he basically had to completely relearn how to be a drummer. Because all of a sudden now you've only got one arm. They build him a special set. And I think he really kind of came up with this idea, and he had to find someone who could build it for him where he could say, okay, I could control this tom with this foot pedal. I mean, he plays drums like no one else. And to Tucker's point, he says Rick Allen invented his own drum kit. That's exactly what happened.
He did. And I remember the interviews. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Tucker's on it. Tucker's on it, man. Yeah.
He's really good. Really good. It was a great show. I really enjoyed it. And, you know, they're still one of the great live bands.
They really are. I saw them back in 17 with when they did the XXL tour, Poison, Tesla, and Def Leppard. And they were amazing then. But I remember, so when he did lose his arm, that was the big story as everybody is writing and going, oh yeah, I remember that. But do you remember the Hysteria tour? They toured for the first time ever since the 40s or 50s. I don't even remember what they said, but in the round. They're the ones who came out in the round in Hysteria. And I went to that, and I had to see Rick Allen play with one hand. That was just incredible to me. I was like, I got to see this. And I tell you what, they opened up with Stage Fright, and they just went into it. And I just remember we had good seats for that one because they were in the round, and the Def Leppard Hysteria banners just drop, and the bass player just comes rushing out at us, just rushing, running. We're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, and he's like right in front of us going, you know, and I was like, this is incredible. And I'm trying to see Rick Allen because I want to see him just doing his thing, you know, and doing his triple or quadruple bass drum. He did. Yeah. Seen Leopard twice. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Leopard on the Pyromania tour. So I saw him, Pyromania, Lloyd Noble Arena.
Who did they open? Who opened for him? I remember that.
John Butcher Axis.
When he didn't open on this one. No, it was
John Butcher Axis opened for him when I saw.
I want to say Billy Squire opened up for him in San Diego.
That could be.
I think Billy Squire opened for him in San Diego on Pyromania.
But it was a great tour. But that was 1983 or 84.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. But that was when my mom said no.
Yeah,
Mom said no, not till 83, buddy, not till 83.
But it was a good show. My wife enjoyed it. And Rich and I, and we'll have better seats. we're going to see the Priest in October. So next month we'll have a report about that too when that's over. So I'm really.
I think we got row 16, right by the stage, So we got good seats, man.
Yeah,
good seats.
Okay, well, it'll be great. And you know what? It was a good show, even from the rafters, but it's a better show when you're close. Let's be honest.
It is.
When you got better tickets.
Then you get to watch the security guards kick people out.
Exactly. The best show I ever saw. I've talked about this, the Iron Maiden Peace of Mind tour, when I'm literally on the front row and Dave Murray, it's his monitor is between me and him. I mean, he's literally like 4 feet from me.
Did he put his foot up there for you?
He put his foot up there. We made eye contact the whole time. Yeah. And at the end of the show, I probably told you this, but I still have the scars. End of the show, he pulls up, he'd always wear those wristbands.
Yeah.
He pulls his 2 wristbands off. He's leaning over the monitor, putting them in my hand. All of a sudden, this girl on a guy's shoulder swings over and does the grab. And then he kind of shrugged and gave me a pick. So I did get his
bonus.
Pick. Yeah.
Bonus, right. Yeah, I would have that's a hard loss right there.
Yeah, it was tough. I could be sporting Dave Murray's wristbands.
Yeah, you could.
Day. I would wear them at work. I could wear them at work. Imagine all the conference calls I'm on. I could be wearing Dave Murray's sweatbands.
That would be great. I do have Joe Elliott's, or no?
Oh.
Is it Joe Elliott or was it Phil Collin? I can't remember who wears
either.
The wristband.
Cool.
Okay,
I have to say this about Rich. He's got an awesome collection of memorabilia from Rush, Def Leppard. He's got all kinds of cool stuff.
I was blessed with having a lighting director who went on tour with these bands as my brother-in-law. So he would always, whenever they come around to whatever city we were living in at the time, I was in the United States Army, so I was all over the place. But he'd come around on tour and say, "Hey, I'm coming around. You want to come back?" I'm like, "Yeah." We saw Scorpions in Mannheim, Germany.
Wow!
And he got us backstage for that. So we just showed up at this Sept Arena in Mannheim, and we met at Gate 11. They said, "Come on back." And we got to tour back there. Matthias Jobs was sitting at the table with his wife and his kids or something, just drinking coffee. And I got to pick up Rudolf Schenker's tailpipe guitar and man, there's so many things. Rush. I mean, I have pieces of Neil Peart's drum set. I mean, it's incredible. I could tell you stories all day, but
that is awesome.
I really got lucky. I really did. I got lucky, man.
So here's the thing. Rich has a lot of stories like that, and you hear a lot of those if you listen to the Classic Metal Vault. So I'm gonna turn it over to Rich to kind of tell us what the Classic Metal Vault is, what we can expect if we tune in, that sort of thing. So now, full disclosure, I hear the Classic Metal Vault every week because Rich sends it to me and I post it, right? But tell us what we can expect. What's coming up in the future? We just want to hear what's going on.
Sure thing. So the Classic Metal Vault, and thank you, Jeremy, for giving me time on your new station, or your station, not new anymore. It's getting there. So time on your station to do this. But I've always wanted to be, so I have been a SiriusXM subscriber for 15 years, maybe more. And I have been an Ozzy Boneyard, I'm dedicated to it. I love it. So much information. And I always thought, man, I'd love to be that ultimate sinner, play the 5 songs every week or every month or every week. Yeah. Ultimate sinners. And I never really had the confidence to do so. I would just be like, oh, I wouldn't play those songs because they always play the same songs, right? The same popular songs from the big bands. Those are my 5 tops, which I get. It's your 5 tops. I get it. But they were just the same as they played on the radio. So when Jeremy offered me this, I actually told him, hey, if you're going to play any Metallica on your Classic Radio Rock, you need to make sure you do this one, because I knew that will pump up the crowd. It's kind of like a popular one, but a deeper cut, but I knew that would be pumping up people. And when you gave me that opportunity, that's where I went with the Classic Metal Vault. What I want to do, I play all genres of metal. I don't stick to thrash, although thrash and heavier stuff is my genre of choice. I spread it out. I get glam. I don't care if it's glam, hair, new metal. I'm not a big fan of that either, but all the genres of metal. because I know a lot of people haven't heard it or will be surprised that, oh, I didn't know that was them. I just want to get it out there to people because I know how much I loved it. Like I said, we're big fans. I'm a huge fan of music in general, but mostly metal. And I know there's so many good songs out there, deep cuts too, that people probably don't even know, because this day and age, they buy the 1 or 2 songs off the release and that's it, but they don't listen to the whole album. You listen to that whole album and you got these deep cuts that are just amazing that I want to share with people. I want to bring metal back because that was the funnest time. The 80s was the best.
Totally.
Hair metal and the war between hair metal and thrash metal and just the PMRC, it was just something, it was just that. And even into the 90s, and then grunge started coming around and it started to change. But I even play some grunge metal on there too. I get some grunge on there. But bottom line is that I just want to get the music out there to people. I want to share it with people. I want to tell the stories and relate to the audiences out there. I know all of you have been through the same stories, probably me and Jeremy have been through. And, just hearing it, going, oh yeah, I remember that. It sparks conversations with everybody. Because I remember back in the day, and I don't know if any of you guys or Jeremy have done it, but they used to have a lot of metal shows on at midnight, 9:00, midnight on Sunday nights. That's the only time you can catch the metal shows. And we'd sit around and make it a thing, get people over to drink beer, turn on the radio and listen to the metal shop. And that's the experience I wanted to have with people. Just everyone sitting around, I've met a lot of new listeners out there sitting around their barns, turning on the Metal Vault, catering to their chickens and their horses. And we're going to turn on the Metal Vault. And I'm saying, hey, however you want to listen to it, there you go. It's just fun. And it makes me happy that people listen to it and just say, yeah, I remember those days. Just bringing it back to those fun 80s and early 90s days of just living it up, listening to good metal music.
Well, and remember, heavy metal, it's a lot more mainstream now, but in the early and mid 80s, and you just mentioned this, there were MTV used to do the Saturday night concerts.
Headbangers Ball.
I remember seeing, and then Headbangers Ball, of course. But I remember seeing Rush concert and Judas Priest concert and Ozzy and Iron Maiden on MTV's Saturday night concerts, or Night Flight. Night Flight used to be on the old USA network, and it would be a little more B-level stuff, but still some cool stuff, Right. And to be honest, that's my favorite part of the Classic Metal Vault is hearing your stories.
Really? Great.
I saw this show under an overpass. I'm like, what the,
Literally, it was some gym. It was a high school gym under the Coronado Bridge in San Diego. Maybe people know it out there, but it's right under there. It was just and I remember Testament hanging out their tour bus, yelling at people. And there were nobody back then. There were just some thrash band and everyone's blah, 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 screaming back at them. And then we go into this high school gym with literal bleachers and a gym floor and Testament and Violence. I know you probably don't know Violence. Metal Shop people do though.
Yeah,
the Classic Metal Vault people do. But anyway, they're playing, and it's so funny that and I kind of rediscover things. Like I forgot all about that, and I thought about it. I was like, oh yeah, I saw him under a bridge. But anyway,
that's awesome. I just want to say hi to Bruce. Bruce is one of our regulars that checks in a lot. Bruce. So Bruce, I'm glad you were able to catch us. I make it hard when I only do my daily update like once every 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, I get that. I'm going to try and do better. I did not prep Rich for this next question at all. Totally gonna put you on the spot, and it might even put our friendship in jeopardy. But I'm gonna. Here's the thing. I'm just being honest. Here's a confession. Okay. Here's a confession. I've talked about this before, guys. I've talked about the bands that I really like the bands, but it's hard for me to get into their music. And I know this is going to hurt Rich's feelings because this is like his favorite band. Metallica is one of those bands for me. I've watched the documentary. I love Hetfield. I love Kirk Hammett. I love them all as people. I just cannot. I can't get into their music.
I still love you, Jeremy. I know. Love you.
I know.
But check it out. That's what's cool about music, man.
Yeah.
Not everybody's favorite band is going to be a favorite band. Like Megadeth. People are surprised that I like thrash metal so much, but I like Metallica over Megadeth. Yeah. They just don't get it because Megadeth is more thrashy. I just like what Metallica stood for and still stands for. Just metal and the fans and good music and just bringing it to you no matter what.
Here's the thing about Metallica that people maybe forget. And my good buddies on the Into the Void podcast, John and Darren, if you've never checked out that podcast, I'm giving them a plug. It's Into the Void, the Black Sabbath podcast.
Okay.
They talk about, when they're talking about the Ultimate Sin album that Ozzy put out and that tour.
Yep.
If you think back to that tour, that era of Ozzy, I mean, he's literally wearing like a fancy nightgown and his hair's all big and puffy. And a little band called Metallica opened on the Ultimate Sin tour. And you know what? Metallica kicked Ozzy and all the other pop hair metal bands right in the butt. Mm-hmm. Which was totally needed, right? Yep. They weren't grunge at all, but they were real rock and roll metal, right? And I think the industry needed the shot in the arm or kick in the tail or whatever you want to call it. So I appreciate that completely. But here's the question I'm going to ask you, because again, I don't want to damage our friendship, Rich, but you listen to Classic Guitar Rock Radio.
I did.
You listen to it. You know, obviously his show is on Classic Guitar Rock Radio. And I'm going to be completely honest. I'm a fan of the melodic hard rock, hair metal, call it what you want. I don't play Metallica on the radio station. So here's my question. I want you to give me 5 Metallica songs I should add right now to the rotation, and I'll do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 5.
Right now?
Your top 5. Now, here's the criteria.
You ready?
It's a radio station, so we got to kind of appeal to the masses.
We do.
So maybe I'm asking you for Metallica's top 5.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate pina colada and Thai iced coffee flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes. I'm going to give you Metallica's my top 5 from the first 3 albums. Let's do the first 3 albums. Okay. That way it's in the classic genre, classic era.
I'm writing some down that I think you're going to say.
Write down Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All is their first album. Well, their first real studio album. 4 Horsemen.
That's the song, 4 Horsemen?
Yep, 4 Horsemen. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Ride the Lightning. For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Okay, that's one I have written down.
Creeping Death.
Hang on here. For Whom Bell Tolls. Creeping Death. All of these I've heard on the Classic Metal Vault, by the way, I think.
Yes, you have. You definitely have. And then let's go to the next album. Master of Puppets. 100%. Sanitarium.
Okay.
Welcome Home. Is that 5?
No, that's 4. I got 4 Horsemen, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Creeping Death, Sanitarium.
Master of Puppets.
Oh, the song Master
of Puppets. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
And say, Tucker, I'm with you. I love Metallica, not so much Megadeth. Disagree with you on that one. I love Megadeth, but you're right. I love Metallica way more than Megadeth.
Okay, so but here's what I thought you would say: Seek and Destroy. I thought you would say 1.
Those are played out. I mean, you
say Enter Sandman. Come on, that was their biggest.
Is that classic? That's 91.
Well,
I know you stick to
1990, right? It's 90.
Okay.
So it's right at the cusp. Okay, but
okay, all right. So just for you, Jeremy.
Okay.
Take off Sanitarium.
Okay.
Put on put on Enter Sandman. You made a good point. Sandman is kind of like their, well, they have a lot of like their one, but yeah. Go with Sandman. I agree with that. Now the other ones, there's so many. There's so many, Jeremy. I have my own preferences. So yeah. They're so good.
Yeah.
I don't think you don't like them.
But like I said, I like them. That's like Alice Cooper. I say the same. I love Alice Cooper, but it's hard for me to get through an Alice Cooper album. I mean, I'm just being honest. Okay. And so Metallica, I have kind of resisted putting them on because to me, they're a great hard rock band. They don't have the same, and I'll just say it, they don't have the same sing-along choruses as like even an Iron Maiden would have.
I disagree with you on that.
You think
they have a lot of choruses? Yes, they do. They do.
They don't have great harmonies.
You're saying the hook. You're looking for the hook.
They don't have the hooks that a Def Leppard has or a Scorpion.
Well, no. Well, I don't know. They kind of do. I mean, all of those songs I gave you have definitely a good hook chorus. I mean, there's iconic moments in every song. Yes, Bruce, you're right. Enter Sandman made the list. It made the list, man. It had to. Now, one should make the list. You're right, Jeremy. One should be on there. But I am more of, if I was going to say anything about Injustice for All, I'd put Harvester of Sorrow on there.
Really?
Before Blackened or all their other stuff.
Tucker says, sad but true. Nothing else matters. One, Master of Puppets, Enter Sandman. That's
what I said. It's preferences, and they're all badass. They're all badass. I mean, I love them all.
I like the people in Metallica. I always have. I've always liked, if I see an interview with whoever it is, I'll watch it. I do. I love Kirk Hammett is a huge Schenker fan.
Yep.
And since I love Schenker's probably my favorite guitar player, I like, so I like them.
I love the community, the thrash community. So if you've heard the show, a lot of guitarists and bass players and drummers move around this thrash world, just like Kirk Hammett. His best friend was Gary Holt from Exodus, right? So I did not know this. I found this out when I was researching for just to get my facts straight on the Metal Vault, that he actually took over when Kirk Hammett left, and he was Kirk Hammett's roadie while Kirk Hammett was in Exodus. So it's just a lot of that. Like the drummer for Forbidden was Slayer's drummer. It just is a lot of thrash cross training going on out there. It's really cool.
And Hammett took lessons from Joe Satriani.
He did.
Yes, he did. That's awesome. That's Angus Young.
You can't go wrong with that one. Angus Young, of course. I hope they come around with this power trip. Or power up. Excuse me.
I say it all the time. Right. I say it all the time. These classic bands, when they come around, you got to go see them because they aren't going to be coming around much longer.
Exactly. I already heard James Hetfield speaking of it. I'm getting older, guys. We're all getting older, and when they start saying that, I'm looking at one or two more albums max, so.
And that's it. Well, Rich, thank you so much for joining me today.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me.
And of course, if you haven't checked out the Classic Metal Vault, let me put the times up here again. Hang on here just a sec.
Come check out the show, guys.
Yeah,
have a blast.
It happens every Friday night at 9, and then we do it Saturday morning at 4 a.m. You know why we do that? It's because of listeners in the UK.
Yeah,
that's a better time for them. 4 a.m. Pacific time is like noon in the UK. So that's a better time for them to hear it. And then we do it again at 4 p.m. Pacific on Saturday afternoons. So you got 3 chances to hear it during the week.
Come on in.
It's metal. And of course,
and I spread it around.
Yeah, no, it's a great show. So we definitely want to invite you to check that out. If you just go to classicguitarrock.com, okay, there's 2 little buttons there. One says CGR podcast, one says CGR radio. If you go to the CGR radio button, you're 24/7, you can hear Classic Guitar Rock Radio. And I'm going to be adding these Metallica songs to the rotation.
I think you should check out some of those comments from Tucker and Bruce too, and maybe add some of their as well.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to deny any Metallica suggestions. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, Rich, thank you. And I'm looking forward to this week's show. So, all right. Thank you all for tuning in. Live long and prosper. We'll see you on the next Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Thanks for listening. You can email Jeremy at classicguitarrock@mail.com.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Tune in each weekday for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update.